Hi and welcome to Indigo Starfire. My name is Bevin, and in this video I'm going to be looking into the question, when will the light of love shine upon me again? There are three groups to choose from. Group 1 is the Angel Quartz Tower. Group 2 is the Rose Quartz Heart. And group 3 is the Howlite Star. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups, or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection, and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you would like to jump ahead. And up next is a close-up photo of the crystals to help you better make your selection. Hi, Group 1. Chose the Angel Quartz Tower. So I'm just going to be using oracle cards for this reading, and let's see what Spirit wants you to know as far as when the light of love will shine upon you once again. Okay, and we have to conform is to die inside. Be brave and be yourself. Feel the power of your blood and your ancestors. You are not alone. And a difficult path is being revealed. Ask for help and learn that we are all connected. So there's an indication here of an energy of pause, a necessity for pause, a process of rebirthing that is either taking place, or this can be an invitation for you to voluntarily go into your personal underworld in order to clear some shadows from yourself. This can be wounds related to past situations in love where you had your hopes set very high only to be let down. This can tie into as well ancestral patterns, wounding, generational chains that you have found yourself as a link within this system, kind of relationships that you've had or even kind of that have ended disappointingly may in many ways, although not situationally but energetically speaking, could represent some kind of replication of a larger pattern at play in terms of romance through your family line, ways in which people may have settled for less than they deserved or had put their own needs secondary and kind of put others on pedestals. If you were dealing with a narcissistic parent, for example, or any kind of neglect or any kind of brokenness in sort of your upbringing or your life, there's a sense of a need to kind of free and heal yourself from some degree of distortion that you have taken on or that has been templated within you through the wounding of other people in your formative years in your life, or through other experiences in love and partnership that in some way are a block or a hindrance to the ability for you to access a higher vibration of love that is available to you. But in order to gain that, it's almost the energy of Spirit is really directing you that at this point in time you may just continue to if you kind of get stirrings of the heart, or you encounter people that there's a lot of chemistry with, there seems to be a lot of potential, these situations might keep bottoming out. You may keep finding yourself sort of replaying the same scenarios, trapped in some kind of karmic cycle, because there's more available to you, but it requires you going more deeply within you in order to access and unearth that. So this is the energy of the light of love, real love, true love, a higher vibration of love than you have known up to this point or can even conceive of in many ways. It exists for you, but it's on the other side of maybe even a very difficult choice that you may have to make, that you've been struggling with, to sort of put your dreams of finding someone, finding partnership, finding love, finding that counterpart on hold, because there's almost a need for you to tend to you, that what you're seeking is not arriving at this time. There may not be glimmers of that on the immediate horizon for you, because there's a very necessary process that comes before kind of accessing that higher potential of what is available to you in this lifetime. It's almost a crossroads here where there's a sense of you may have some opportunities to kind of settle back into familiar patterns, ways in which you might be forced to kind of dim your light in order to put somebody else's needs first, or ways in which you may have found yourself even chameleoning to kind of match or meet the requirements of what you think is desirable, what you think a specific person is wanted. Ways in which there may have been some codependency, some things on your end that need to be kind of tidied up, or that you need to lift yourself out of. And that this process of personal transformation, if you are seeking something that is deeply nourishing, deeply satisfying, not merely just another replication of the same kind of revolving door of cycles or types of people that have ended in disappointment that you've been dealing with, or that has been, kind of a history as far as the narrative, from your upbringing, from your legacy, from where you come from, then it requires the fearlessness to be able to kind of disconnect from any sort of association you have with timeline, as far as, I want to start a family, I want to have kids, I have this particular sort of vision very fixed in my mind of what my future is going to look like romantically. There's almost this need to sort of sacrifice that, to put that on the table, with the understanding of this may or may not occur, but in order for me to really reach that at the highest and healthiest potential, it requires time to step back and invest in kind of creating a healthier version of me first and foremost. That almost at this point in time, an investment in yourself is an investment in that future that you're seeking, in a sustainable way, not just in a way that you can make do with, or that you settle into, or that you feel kind of lucky or grateful that at least somebody came around, that it's a warm body to kind of fit that role of whatever the script of what you think kind of love and partnership should look like. But it's the idea of something greater is accessible and available to you, but it requires the willingness and courage to put your full trust and faith in the process, in kind of detours, in the divine plan, in this light of love that you are seeking, not being something that comes in very immediately for you, being something further than you are able to discern on your timeline, on your horizon. But it's the idea of a beautiful surprise, a beautiful potential and possibility exists for you on the other side of this willingness to kind of go within and recreate yourself, to really kind of tend to you. This is the energy of truly becoming that love you are seeking, and not just something where you're saying, okay, well, I'm going to take a month and I'm going to be single. For the next year, I'm not going to date anyone. This might be something that could, a difficult path is being revealed. This might be something that's a more long-term commitment where there is kind of no end that you're really able to sort of attached to that. And it's a willingness, though, to love yourself enough to be willing to kind of sacrifice temporarily, or perhaps, in the way in which you've envisioned it in this lifetime, in the interest of kind of saving yourself, really unearthing kind of the healthiest and most high vibrational version of you, trusting that, the narrative of love and partnership, it is available to you, but it may come further down the road than you're expecting, and it may look a lot different than you have been anticipating. The dreams that you have, the goals that you may have in terms of love and partnership may need to be kind of moved into a space of neutrality where, you are expectant in kind of getting everything you want, but there's also kind of this openness to whatever best serves kind of this version of you that, you're willing to invest into rebirth, whatever aligns with that And it may even be that on the other side of a personal transformation, your desires and what you're looking for in a partner, what you're trying to cultivate and call in, what you're trying to create as far as romance is concerned, or like any kind of structure as far as family, household partnership, anything of that nature, that may change as well. That there's a version of you that exists on the other side of this transformation that has its own kind of needs and requirements, its wants, its what it attracts in, what this version of you attracts in is a lot different than kind of you at this present state with some wounding that needs to be healed. Bigger work of maybe a spiritual nature to kind of understand or break free from some of these generational patterns, to be the one to kind of shift the course for generations to come. That this is almost at this point in time, at this kind of juncture, this is your key work at this point. You stand at a very unique pivoting place in your life to make some very profound strides forward where others who came before you could not, or did not have the luxury to kind of make that choice. And so it's the idea of kind of doing this for you, but also doing this for those who came before you that didn't have the ability to kind of navigate against the current, to move in another direction, to really choose for themselves kind of this energy of sort of folding within and really healing in a profound way, really understanding self within a profound way in order to magnetize in a match that was a vibration for who they truly discovered and embraced themselves as at a core level. So let's see what else wants to come through for you as far as when will the light of love next shine upon you. Okay, so we have wisdom and hunger. So there's definitely an energy here of loving yourself enough to be willing to wait for the type of love that can truly kind of feed your soul, feed you on all levels, rather than that just serves as kind of empty calories or something very counterproductive to the deeper kind of call and yearning from your heart and from the soul level. There is a sense of, moving very uniquely along your path, breaking trail from others, a sense of almost kind of turning your back in a certain way to how you've been approaching matters of the heart, matters of love up to this point in time. A need to kind of rewild yourself almost to really get down to basics, down to the core of who you are. There's a need to take some time with all these little kind of books here that she's standing on to really unpack the narrative of how, partnership looks to you, how you've been showing up in love and partnership, how others have really, sort of projected upon you, or your idea of kind of what love is, what that should be, how that's been scripted by kind of what you've seen growing up, what you've witnessed and experienced in that sense, how you're a link in kind of a multi-generational chain in various ways, that there's kind of other work at this point. There's a need to sort of deviate off the road of love for a period of time. If you find that you have been single for quite some time, and that this is kind of just, might even be a very triggering message. You're sort of like, well, I've done all this work, I've done all this healing, and you mean I need to wait a little bit longer. I was hoping that love would be right around the corner. There's a sense of kind of, again, good things come to those who wait. What you are really seeking, this high vibrational pivot in terms of love and romance, it is available for you. It is there in your script, in your kind of narrative options, but it's almost sort of the further that you extend yourself, even beyond kind of where you've been at this particular point in time on your journey within. Maybe you haven't done that journeying within, you've just been single, you've been looking outwardly to fill some kind of hunger within for companionship. And so This can really indicate kind of this notion of instead of looking outwardly for someone to fill a space within, this is a time in your life and in your journey when it is crucial for you to go within and really seek to kind of be in that space, be in that company with you, really hold and entertain the notion and the reality that kind of at the end of the day, you are the true love of your life. You are who you come home to always. You know, you're with yourself when you're born. You're with yourself when you take your last breath. You are the love of your life, and there's a need to kind of focus and prioritize, nurture, and fill some sort of space within, so that you are able to magnetize in, you know, a partner who complements and accentuates the fullness of who you are, rather than kind of feeds into a space of sort of void or wounding, or two people who are kind of pivoting off one another's woundings. That this is kind of a key moment right here to really sort of choose to be wise enough to kind of understand that if love feels elusive, or you've just gotten to this place where you're willing to accept crumbs because you're so hungry for love inside, you look around and think, when is it my turn? Where is my person? That this almost kind of like moment of being brought to your knees is the time where you're really needing to, like with the energy of the hermit here in this wisdom, tuck into yourself. There's something within. There's some kind of a wound which needs to be tended to within. There's something that needs to be re-scripted, rewritten within yourself in terms of how you've been showing up for yourself, or even some residue left behind or templated on you from previous relationships that has no place in the type of higher love that you are actually capable of calling in for yourself, that would actually nourish and feed you at a soul level. And so kind of, it's almost the idea of rejection is divine protection, or any sort of period where you're kind of rattling around and there is no love in sight. It's because there's something inside that you are meant to really embrace and cultivate, really sort of hold that very closely to yourself, so that the next time love comes around, or you get those signs, or kind of the stars align and you cross paths with somebody, you know, there's not so much of you that is forfeited, maybe even very unconsciously in a process of trying to almost blend in or chameleon in with what you're thinking the perfect partner should be for that person, or just in general. There's a need to kind of go in and rewrite some programming within yourself, and that is the key to really releasing you from a cycle that you find yourself in. There's a bigger purpose to all of this: ancestral healing, generational healing, something that might even help to kind of eventually sort of create the love story, or if you're wanting to have kids, start a family, to have that really be rooted and grounded in a foundation that takes the best of what you experienced growing up, and has actively is the product of as well of sort of efforts and endeavors to heal or release those things that were deficiencies in your experiences, so that you're creating a new path. You're forging a new road forward, rather than just kind of replicating and repeating cycles that many generations have been stuck in. It's almost like you're the change maker in a big way. There may be things spiritually as well that you're needing to endeavor, versions of you that are needing to come to the surface first and foremost, and that person, that you, is the one that is able to kind of call in this light of love, rather than kind of more of the shadowy or disappointing energies of love that you've experienced before. So let's see what else you need to know. Okay, we have unlikely, and the situation will improve. So this is really the energy of a death and rebirth process. There's a need to release a particular narrative, a particular idea, a particular timeline, a particular version of you at this, up to this point in time, that has been magnetizing in and calling in partners or prospective partners that in some way it feels like there may have been matches in kind of the the attributes in a light capacity of you and this and other people that you've been dealing with romantically, but it feels like you've also been kind of wounds within, these sort of shadow aspects within have been calling in, or you've been resonating with people based on kind of like shared shadows, shared woundings, a lot of karmic relationships that you may have been through, or karmic cycles, maybe even kind of bigger karmic cycles that you've been working to close out in your life. And that love for you also involves some kind of process of addressing, recognizing these wounded parts and really releasing them. It feels to be something where you're almost willing to completely scrap an idea or a plan or a projection of sort of like your timeline or your definition or your concept of what that would look like when love comes in, how that develops, how that unfolds. And with that happening, kind of this willing descent into your own personal underworld, into this place where you're confronting your wounds directly and loving yourself despite, and especially because of what you find there, reclaiming the parts of you that were deemed unlovable, whether you pick that up or glean that just through observation, or people you'd been dealing with romantically, familially, societally, that had told you were kind of like shameful or undesirable qualities. There's a need to sort of collect parts of yourself, articulate you into more of a whole and accurate expression of who you are in both your light and shadow polarities. Then it opens the doorway to the situation will improve. This isn't sort of you need to wander in the wasteland forever and just be alone forever, be a hermit, be single forever, unless that's something that you're very much drawn to. But it's a sense of needing this time just in your own energy, needing a period of time where maybe you're celibate. Maybe this is something you haven't endeavored before. You may be somebody who just moves from relationship to relationship, for example. You may be getting pressure from other people to get out there and date. The clock's ticking, time's running out. You're feeling pressures. You're seeing other people enter into relationships. Whatever that kind of looks like for you. There's a need to really invest in yourself at this particular point in time. And also with this, there are these kind of like big and long-term energies, but it almost feels to be something that time is kind of, it's a trickster in this situation, to where this might even be like a shadow for some people. This could be very confronting, the idea of, oh my gosh, this could be years from now. I could miss my window of opportunity. If you're a woman and you want to have children, you may be saying to yourself, well, I don't want to wait and kind of miss that opportunity. I don't want to miss that chance. There's a very definite kind of timetable to that taking place, to having kids taking place, and I don't want to miss the boat in that capacity. There's a need to surrender and almost move into a space of really dancing with the possibility within you. What if these dreams don't come to fruition? Loving yourself despite those dreams perhaps not coming into fruition, that it's some kind of element that needs to be, it's like worst case scenario that needs to be sort of tried on for size. You need to become more comfortable with just you and your own skin, you and your own energy. What if it is just you? What if you are single? What if if love is just kind of not in the cards for you in this lifetime? What if there are other experiences of abundance or joy or things you're meant to create and cultivate that is a better kind of fit or suit for you in this particular lifetime? Not that that will necessarily come to pass or that it eliminates the possibility of love coming in, but there's a necessity of kind of sitting with that, sitting with what might almost be viewed as kind of apathy or like a nihilism as far as partnership that you've been seeking in companionship. It's in that space of loving you, even in the void of potential and possibility, even in this, potential scenario of kind of like it's just you and nobody else shows up. Anybody that you would kind of magnetize in, it's just going to be a lesson. So the choice then is you kind of in the wholeness and sovereignty of yourself. Really sitting in that energy, it feels like it's going to open the door to the situation will improve, relatively speaking, sooner than you would expect. It's almost kind of like a trick, like you're needing to just sort of really sit with that, really come into a place of acceptance, really release kind of some attachment to have somebody, the missing piece, that someone to share your life with, that someone to grow old with. It's the idea of you sharing your life with you growing old with you you fully articulating yourself so that none of your pieces are missing, so that anybody who comes in, they just improve the quality of who you are, that's kind of your main task at this point. And the more you endeavor that, the more you choose to kind of go into that depth within yourself, it opens the door to really raising your vibration in a very profound manner, which calls in that higher vibrational love you're seeking, because you're not running from your shadow, you're instead kind of embracing it. You're embracing both your hopes and your lamentations in this very intricate kind of tapestry of who you are. And from that place of being very self-aware of the best and worst that exists within and that could unfold in your life, you're able to call in people and experiences that are more balanced and well-rounded, it feels like, than what you've been dealing with prior to this, in the cycles of love and romance that you've been through. So I'm going to get a final card and then I'll get some initials for you. Okay, and we have Sacred Journey, Life Cycles, Family, Transformation. Yeah, so this is more of that energy of the death and rebirth, that Scorpio energy right here. There's a need to kind of go deeply within the core, the root of who you are. Some ancestral healing or inner child healing, healing of familial wounds, or even ways in which you've kind of been running from yourself. You've been sort of not loving yourself to your fullest capacity based on, what you experienced growing up, parts of you that were sort of relegated to the shadow because the people around you couldn't appreciate that. That had been kind of taught to them as sort of undesirable qualities. Any ways in which you sort of disconnected from you, the love you're seeking, this light of love, it exists on the other side of a willingness to, at this point in time, and with the intention of, for as long as it takes, to invest in this process of coming home to you. From that place of being that safe harbor for yourself, you're able to pivot and ascend into that light of love. That light of love is found within the depths of your own shadow. It exists within you, some truth within you that you are meant to harness fearlessly. Beam that out as a new type of frequency than how you've been moving through the world or through partnerships up to this point in time. And the incentive, the prize on the other side of this healing journey, in addition to, some big kind of projects that you may have signed up to do as far as your heritage, your ancestor, your bloodline. You may be that generational curse breaker. You've been tasked with this mountain because you have the ability to move it or chisel your way through it, find a way around or fly over it, just whatever that looks like. On the other side of kind of this other work, this sort of big work that you need to tend to at this point in time, is also the ability to magnetize in not just love, but a higher level of experience than you've known, a higher level of abundance in general in your life, because you're cultivating that, you're finding that, you're becoming that within yourself first and foremost. It magnetizes in opportunities of all types because you are radiating opportunity within yourself. So some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name, or it can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got S, W, F, P, U, O, Q, C, B, Z, E, Y, L, T, D, O, W, L, and X. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link to that channel in the description box of the video, as well as in the channel section of my page. The format over there consists of readings related to topics other than love and romance. So if you're looking for something a little different from me, that is the place to find it. I thank you for your support there, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. Chose the Rose Quartz Heart. So I'm just going to be using oracle cards for this reading, and let's see what Spirit wants you to know as far as when the light of love will shine upon you again. Okay, and we have follow the path of your soul. Do not allow anyone or anything to stop you. The time has come for romance. See it as an opportunity for a radiant life. And awaken the magic of your creativity. Immerse yourself in the world of feelings. So for a lot of you, love is closer than you think. A high vibrational love. This is divine masculine energy, although we have kind of these watery emotional energies also indicating the divine feminine. So this really speaks to be, a true match, a true kind of counterpart situation. Somebody who truly resonates at the vibration of you at this point in your own sort of healing and evolution journey. If you've been really working to break free from some cycles and patterns, to release the past, crystallizing the wisdom from the pain and the disappointment that you have experienced, you've been loving yourself, you've been investing in yourself, you've not been running from your emotions, but kind of feeling and experiencing and processing in a healthy manner the full range and polarity of both, sorrow and elation, hopelessness and hope, the light and shadow within you. It feels like you've reached this beautiful blend within to where you're actively co-creating an abundant future for yourself in many ways that also includes romance. You have sent out a very unique frequency and beacon that somebody has heard and is responding to. It's the idea of two people magnetizing toward one another, roads getting ready to converge, paths getting ready to cross, the love you're seeking, something of a high vibrational level is again closer than you may imagine. Kind of, it almost feels right outside of your comfort zone, right outside of some sort of major transition step or pivot that you may have been considering or are even in the planning or preparation stages of making. I'm drawn to these fish here in terms of Pisces season might be very significant for you. These are timeless messages. Just kind of take them whenever they are resonating for you. But in real time, as I am recording this reading, we are kind of in the middle of Virgo season. So this is still several months away, Pisces season, but relatively speaking in terms of, how far you've come on your journey up to this point in time, it's a couple of months is, relatively speaking, not that long. Shortly around the bend, it feels like you're kind of in this final sort of stage right here. I'm also drawn to this little bird, which is kind of reminding me of a phoenix, like a phoenix rising. You have risen from the ashes of your previous self. You have crossed some kind of a threshold in your own kind of healing journey, and in closing the door to past kind of disappointments as far as love. You've up leveled in a way. You've had a major glow up, and you're now ready to experience and magnetize in somebody who resonates at that like frequency with you. This energy of the phoenix can also really tie into Scorpio season, which, again, a timeless reading. Whenever you find these messages, just take them as they resonate. But right in the middle of Virgo season, Scorpio season's not that far away. So it feels like for some of you, between Scorpio season and Pisces season, this might be where, the magic is really sensed and seen. A lot of kind of synchronicities or signs, little breadcrumbs leading you and another person to this place of the time for romance has come. It's in the air. It's in the works. This is not something on, the far distant horizon, but it's something that you are actively manifesting each and every day. And with that in mind, the idea of, awaken to the magic of your creativity, opening up to and emphasizing more of this energy within you, continuing to, kind of work on yourself, heal yourself, really embrace yourself as you are at this particular point in time. Setting those intentions, releasing that to the universe, trusting that it will move towards you in the time and manner it's meant to, trusting that what is meant for you will not pass you by. Also taking those very calculated and measurable and intuitively guided steps in the direction that spirit is leading you. It's an energy of being both passive and receptive, and also alert and action oriented, kind of dancing between these two polarities on your part is something also that this kind of other person, this light of love, these two matching frequencies of light, they are in the process of doing that right now in their own kind of journeying towards you. And so your best recipe for success in this situation is also kind of going with the flow of the energies, when to sort of set those intentions, when to kind of, release that outward and sort of listen to that voice within that tells you, that signals it's go time, not allowing doubt to sort of undermine steps that are taken. It might even tie into other kind of bold action steps forward regarding other things that you've been trying to call in or cultivate. Maybe love and romance is something that you've kind of put on the back burner. You've shifted your focus to cultivating, abundance for yourself in other ways. This might even really tie into, the idea of continuing where that focus is at this point in time, because it's almost, you've released the idea of so actively seeking love. That's how love finds you. It comes when you're not expecting it. All of a sudden you turn around and there it is. You're just sort of running into one another. A lot of serendipity, a lot of synchronicity. That's all sort of cooking right now. That's all in the works, and it feels to be something that pretty real time and kind of a very short window of time, relatively speaking, outside the timetable for people that are watching this, beyond the parameters of like Scorpio season and Pisces season. It feels like within a 6-month window, you're going to be crossing paths with somebody that is that light of love that you have, you've had that intention, you set that intention, but you've really redirected that focus into becoming that love you have wanted to seek. And now that is seeking you, that kind of mirror, that kind of resonant frequency, that harmonic frequency is now coming to find you. So let's see what else you need to know as far as when the light of love will next shine upon you. And we have pleasure and resistance. So this is really tying into the idea of, holding back and yielding, continuing to move in this kind of flow state, not pushing against the current, ways in which you already up to this point in time have released these intentions or wishes for love to the higher forces, to the divine. Continue this momentum, continue this pace forward, because this is the flow state that is going to best call in what it is that you are seeking. It's almost as well with this kind of fist gripping all of this greenery. It's right within your grasp. It's right within reach. It's kind of just it's within arm's length. It's not that far from you at this particular point in time. It's kind of waiting to burst open. It's two people who have their heart lights bright and wide and are already sort of picking up on, honing in on one another's frequency, being called in kind of a roundabout way to this intersection with one another. And so, continuing to sort of focus on what is at hand, the tasks at hand, what is accessible to you in some way, even kind of abundance, something to do with work, something to do with whatever else you're growing or cultivating in your life, in your world, in your reality. This may be the venue through which this individual, this kind of light of love, intersects with you. They find you, they seek you out, they encounter your presence, you encounter one another in a certain manner, and it's the idea of kind of letting go of any sort of doubt within you that is questioning if and when the love you are seeking will show up, because it's closer than you would have imagined. Focusing on manifesting in this person or this kind of the nature of this connection by really focusing on how wonderful that will feel to bask in that light of healthy and reciprocal love, seeking and finding that within yourself, radiating that unapologetically and effortlessly, just standing as that kind of beacon of radiance, but then taking measured steps forward in directions outside the bounds of love that you're called to go in, just different kind of things, the unexpected path that will almost put you at this intersection with, the heart that you are next meant to touch, or that is meant to, receive and exchange with you in this next sort of dance of love in your life. So let's see what else you need to know. Okay, so we have unlikely and peaceful resolution. So this feels to be somebody that they're going to arrive when you least expect them, on a day that feels very ordinary, in a place or in a manner where it's unlikely you would find love. That's where they arrive. That's where they show up. It comes together very seamlessly. If you've been used to connections and relationships where it was a lot of friction, it was a lot of pressure to make things work, it was a struggle to kind of coordinate with one another, to make the different pieces of who the two of you are fit together seamlessly. This is an indication that there's a connection coming in for you that is unlike what you have known before, that rather than kind of struggle, you're moving into a season of, peace and ease as far as love is concerned. And all of this is the product of your willingness to kind of move in a flow state within yourself. You're definitely in a vibration of calling in a like frequency. Your days of sort of the difficult opposites attracting and trying to find common ground, and struggling to sort of make sense out of red flags, turn red flags into green flags, paint them if you must, or work your way around, or even kind of illusions that you'd been operating in, or energies of sort of overlooking things. That chapter of your life is over. That season is done. You've done the work. You've done so much healing. You're doing a marvelous job of really being that love that you are seeking. Even if you feel you're still a work in progress, it's almost that you've taken further steps than you realize, and almost the appearance of this person in your world, in your reality, they are a confirmation that choices that you've made sort of in previous cycles for yourself, how you've been directing your focus, your energies, filling your own cup of love, this is an investment that has in fact been worth it. It feels like something where you almost have been operating in an energy of you're uncertain how likely it is to achieve results. You're kind of just working on being very happy with who you are, where you are, controlling the things you can control, releasing sort of the need to know, healing wounds, releasing expectations, all of that. And it's created this place of, you're peaceful with what comes or what doesn't come towards you. You've released a fixation, or you're encouraged to continue to release a fixation on a particular person that you may consider your one, your perfect match. This even indicates somebody that's outside of the usual type of who you date, who you call in, who you have cultivated romance with in the past. And it's this broadening of the perspective. It's the idea, like with the law of attraction, where you set your intentions, but then the necessary component, kind of the secret sauce, is that caveat of, this is what I'm wanting to call in, or something better. This is the energy of the or something better, kind of the wild card that shows up, and it's better than you would have expected or imagined. It's almost something you didn't know, that there could be such an ease with kind of the doors of love opening between two people. Not that it's, this fairy tale kind of connection where there's not going to be any difficulties between the two of you, but it feels like on a core fundamental level, you're at a place of really calling in somebody that is a vibrational match to you. That even though there will be some kind of struggles, some kind of, needing to acclimate to one another and kind of acquaint yourselves with one another, you're at a stage right now in your own kind of relationship to yourself and your own kind of personal journey, that you're now capable of calling somebody in, and have called somebody in, are calling somebody to you. Somebody is actively moving towards you. They're closer than you would imagine. That is the mirror, is the match for this new you, this version of you that you're sitting in at this particular point in time. And in many ways, it is beyond what you have known or experienced before in partnership, in a very beautiful way. For some of you, even with the idea of peaceful resolution, it could be that you're calling in the one, your forever person. It's kind of your victory dance on the other side of what might have been a very arduous journey through love in your life. A decision to kind of invest in yourself, maybe a period of time where you've been single, you've been celibate, you've been focusing on you, and you're now at the place, the time for romance has come. It's time to share your journey from this point forward with another person who doesn't create so much kind of upset and triggering and strife for you as previous people you'd been dealing with, or that had plucked upon your heartstrings before had done. But this is somebody who's, they're matching that vibration of peace that you have been seeking to cultivate within yourself. So, final card just to close this out, and then I will get some initials for you. We have Flame Tree, the start of something new. Yes, you're very close to igniting a new connection, to having this spark, this chemistry, this passion with somebody. And with that idea of the tree, this can again talk to legacy. It can talk about, establishing roots, grounding down with this person in a very long-term sense, having a family with this person, combining households, a deep bond that goes far beyond what you have known in love and partnerships up to this point. There's not just kind of fun experiences on a surface level, but this is almost kind of the depth and longevity of love that you have been seeking. It's very close to beginning. You're kind of right on that brink, but it's veiled in a bit of mystery, because you're almost encouraged to sort of continue along this path of sort of being that fulfillment to you, keeping your vibration high, continuing to kind of do you at this particular point in time, because the two of you and this other individual, are growing toward one another at a rapid pace. You've been growing toward one another for quite some time, and you're almost at this point of like intertwining, intersecting with one another, which is a very beautiful energy. So these initials can be a first, middle, or last name, or they can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. U, C, S, O, F, P, O, G, N, I, F, Y, D, R, Q, E, H, and N. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video, as well as in the channel section of my page. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channel letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link to that in the description box of the video, as well as in the channel section of my page. The format over there consists of readings related to topics other than love and romance. So if you're looking for something a little different from me, that is the place to find it. I thank you for your support there, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. Chose the Howlite star. So I'm just going to be using oracle cards for this reading, and let's see, what do you need to know about when the light of love will shine upon you again? And we have the time of guilt and shame ends now. Forgive yourself and begin to love yourself just as you are. Awaken all your senses. Slow down and become aware of them. And follow the path of your soul. Do not allow anyone or anything to stop you. So there's an energy here of a process of rebirthing, something where you might be on the brink or the precipice of realizing that you need to let go of somebody that you've been holding space for to return to your life. You may have really been sort of putting them in a perspective of they are the light of love that you have been seeking. You may have been putting your life on hold, maybe turning down other offers, just very kind of tied to this particular individual as being the one for you, the best fit, the adequate match. And there's a sense here of that there's something better, either a better version of this person that is needing to unfold, and can only really do that if you are totally detached from the idea of outcomes in this situation. So this may require sort of closing the door to them in a way that you do it in such a manner that you consider it to be a permanent closure, which opens up to the possibility of the unexpected transformation, allowing them time to kind of gestate and awaken kind of in their own timing. But it feels like for more of you, this will be the energy of closing out or sort of having some process of release with hope that someone from your past would provide you with vindication or would kind of turn around and turn things around. That there's a sense of your ability to, very relatively speaking, quickly kind of awaken to new potentials of love, but it's almost something that you're holding within. The idea, even if you may have kind of closed out to somebody, but as is often the case, you know, in soul connections, and we talk about detachment, but then there's sometimes this caveat, or a certain phase of the connection, though there will be this caveat of, you know, you leave the door open a crack for this person in case they sort of choose to re-enter. That it's almost the idea of somebody, the light of love that you are hoping to experience. They exist out there for you, but it requires you taking back more of the fullness of your power by fully closing the door out to this individual. You've had that door open for a crack for long enough. And so the light of love that you're seeking, it's for a lot of you, this is a different person who's out there, who's also on their own kind of healing and ascension journey. It may look a little bit different from yours, but they're kind of gathering their strength. They're almost sort of like waiting in the wings for permission to take some steps towards you. Somebody who can match you in kind of this creative sacral energy is very interested, willing, and able to build a life or a relationship with you, is sitting in their solar plexus energy, very action oriented, that you've almost kind of been waiting or holding in place, or just sort of keeping some sort of pause, maybe within the heart space. For somebody that you may feel very tied to them as like a counterpart or a twin flame, and it's a sense of, I don't want to leave this person behind. Very even an energy of kind of trauma bonding with somebody, or a sense of, really kind of just taking to heart or taking very seriously a soul contract between the two of you, and not wanting to dishonor that in some way. But it feels like you've been doing a lot of the heavy lifting in that capacity, and it's time to really just kind of release that, because there may be sort of a replacement soul that is available for you, that is kind of ready to awaken, somebody who's already awakened, who's kind of already on their path, already able to make their way towards you more quickly and more fulfilling in many ways than this other person that you had been dealing with was. And so when will the light of love shine upon you again is kind of when you allow it to, when you release kind of this area and aspect of yourself that has still been sort of tethered to the past, to the possibility of what if they return. There's almost kind of a need to release them in the understanding, or with the approach that it's maybe just not meant to happen between you and that person in this lifetime, and to kind of grieve that, the guilt that you feel, even any kind of self-shaming for how long you've put your life on pause for that individual, ways in which you may have you've been in like a runner chaser dynamic, and any ways in which you've sort of been guilting yourself about that, about running and pursuing somebody that was making it abundantly clear they were only retreating from you. There's a need to sort of get off that track and choose a new road forward. Awaken to the possibility of this experience has been in your life for a reason, to really kind of pivot you onto a path for yourself of profound healing and ascension, kind of a broader perspective, even for those of you who resonate as a twin flame, something beyond kind of love and romance. I know that it's very easy to get tied up and tangled up in that, kind of this ideal and ultimate sort of 3D partnership, but really the deeper layers, the true nature of a twin flame connection is to awaken potential within each individual. And then, because we are having a 3D experience, everybody has that kind of double-edged sword of free will, that we think is really wonderful when we use that to our benefit, and it feels a little uncomfortable when others are not using that in accordance with how we would like them to. And so this feels to be something that this is kind of one of those harsh truths out of this particular situation, is that for you and maybe this twin flame, your story is over between the two of you. For some, this will be almost that you're closing the door with that intention of the story's over, and then this person does their healing and you meet with one another further down the road. But it almost feels to be that there's somebody who will be a very fulfilling match for you, something that is not a runner-up prize, it's not second best, it's not settling. It's somebody who's able to really meet you with where you're at, where you've come to on this place in your journey, and it's almost time to put this to rest. It's time to release this person, to release even the idea of a twin flame journey, if that kind of fits most comfortably, that you've sort of learned everything you could from that. And that this may be the nature of your contract with one another, is to awaken. It might not be that in this lifetime you were meant to experience a 3D romantic union. This could be kind of that final test or challenge into really harnessing the full potency and potential of kind of what this situation has awakened from within, this dormancy within, and the profound and beautiful ways in which you have and still have the capability to kind of reach for, a higher version of your your life, radiate a higher version and vibration of you here on the earth plane. That with that, part and parcel to that is, a higher vibrational love that is available for you. But it's almost, you can't have it two ways. There's an energy of juggling, of kind of the past occupying space and new potential that is waiting to enter. And so even with these energies of kind of death and rebirth, release and awakening, this can tie into Scorpio season being very relevant to this. It's a timeless reading, so whenever you find these messages, take them as they resonate. But at the time that I'm recording this reading, we're in the middle of Virgo season. So, for some of you, you may have been on this long stretch of, just holding out this last shred of hope for this twin flame to return. And there's, some kind of quick release that happens. You shut that door, and 6 weeks later you're encountering someone else that is kind of that person for you. You may have been solo for quite some time. You may have been celibate for quite some time, single, holding space, doing the work on you, but not kind of just entertaining just any energies, romantically speaking, really kind of valuing your worth and your vibration, keeping your energy very pure and very clean, seeking to purify that very intentionally. And so it's an essence here of almost a final release ceremony, something that you craft or create for yourself that kind of lets that person go, lets that narrative go. It may even be that you disconnect from defining yourself as a twin flame. You close out that chapter for you, and there's the light of love that kind of fits this vibration of who you have been awakened and rebirthed into, that relatively speaking, again, timeless reading here, but pretty quickly after this kind of shutting of the door to a past person or a past idea of love or somebody you've been holding space for, there's somebody else that's waiting to enter. They're waiting for that cue and signal, energetically speaking, that you're ready. They may already have their eye on you, or it may even just be something that they're kind of close enough energetically speaking that when your energy is fully yours again, when you're radiating at your most kind of self-focused and higher good directed aspect or trajectory, they're close enough to pick up on that signal. It's almost like spirit is kind of keeping them adjacent to you, and as soon as you give the signal, as soon as you give the green light, that barricade, that kind of veil that separates you and this other individual is lifted, and your paths are able to cross. You're able to connect with one another. So let's see what else you need to know. So we have pleasure and fear. So this is really tying into the idea of a fear of leaving someone behind, a fear of giving up, and then what if they come back? There might be some part of you that is almost the one, energetically speaking, who is creating that veil or barrier to this other person that is close enough, energetically speaking, that it would not take them long, relatively speaking, to cross paths with you, that you're kind of in the driver's seat in this situation. You have a lot of control, energetically speaking, that it's kind of like there's a contradiction here in your energy. It's almost like you're juggling two things. They're still holding out this hope for this other person, and yet you've come to a place in your journey where you've made all the preparations. You're ready for love right now. And so this waiting game, it's almost like it does not serve your highest good from this point forward, but there may be a fear of pulling the plug on this other situation too soon, even if you've been in this kind of holding pattern for years, for example. That fear of almost like, if I let them go, I abandon them. If I let them go and I move on, what if they come back around and then we miss our chance with one another? Any kind of ideas that you've really taken on as far as, this is my twin flame, it can only be one another in this lifetime, that you've been very fixed and focused upon that. This is almost something where it's a fear-based paradigm that is standing in the way of kind of actual wish fulfillment for you, beyond just kind of ideas. What practically, what materially, what in an actual sense is the person that is able, willing, ready to meet you at the frequency that you are, to reciprocate with you in a healthy and open manner? Not that this other situation or other situations you might experience in the future wouldn't have their ups and downs, but it feels like there is a soul, there is an energy, there is a person who is waiting for permission to move towards you. And it exists on the other side of your willingness to kind of accept the reality of the situation as it exists with this person from your past, releasing that, letting that go, closing that door with an energy and an intention of permanence that allows you to kind of bypass or almost kind of uncage your own heart from where you've been really keeping it under lock and key. You may feel the energy of like a stillness, almost a calm in the storm, and there may be sort of a fear with you of kind of like, okay, it feels like something's happening, but I don't want to make the wrong decision. I don't want to make the wrong move. And it's almost kind of like the ball's in your court at this particular point in time. There's no right or wrong, but there's definitely somebody who's near enough in proximity that if you make the decision pretty much real time to shut the door on someone from the past, it opens up the possibility of that light of love coming in. If you choose, you can't let go of that fear. You can't close that door all the way. It feels like this other person sort of disappears from the equation, and you're on another go around in the merry-go-round with this person you've been holding the light for. You've kept the candle in the window, and yet they have not come home to you. This doesn't mean that never again will there be anyone else on the horizon. It just means you're at this point right now of either repeating another cycle, it needing to take another amount of time before somebody else is kind of materialized or manifested in, energetically speaking, to where again you circle back around to that same crossroads point. Are you going to continue to invest more of your energy in waiting, even just keeping that door open a crack? Or are you going to kind of use these energies, use this crossroads as a place to sort of free yourself, free this other person, sort of shut down that narrative, close out that contract with that individual in this lifetime, so that you're able to receive the abundance of love that you have cultivated within you, mirrored in the form of another person who is vibrationally on your level. So let's see what else you need to know. And we've got choose a new direction and remain positive. Yeah, so this is a confirmation here of a need to close out a door, somebody that you've been waiting for. You've kept that kernel of hope alive. There's a sense of kind of you've held out long enough, and there's a need to kind of release this so that they can grow of their own accord, very organically. It's possible that further down the road your paths will cross again, and maybe it will be the right time between the two of you, but it feels like there's a need to let this go with a sense of permanence, pivoting your gaze toward optimistic things, toward people who are ready to meet you real time, rather than people that you need to kind of put your life or your energy on hold for. You've been hoisting and kind of shouldering the weight of hope and possibility. You've become that light of love and self-sustain that by yourself for quite some time, and it's now almost this point. This is this nudge. This is this opportunity that in real time is presenting itself to you to take back your power fully, take back your energy fully, from people and circumstances that are just, they're not coming through. They haven't turned things around. It's still just, you're dealing with energies, you're dealing with higher selves, you're dealing with pick a card readings, you're dealing with personal readings, you're waiting. Time goes by, and there is no indicator of change in the material world. A very tough decision that you may find yourself at, to really just sort of let that go, drop and discard. Don't even sit in the energy really of sort of guilting yourself over however much time you've expended upon this. There's a need to just kind of release it all, pivot your sights toward the abundance of love. You've lived and you've learned. This connection, this other person has served a greater purpose for you, but now there are new horizons accessible to you by virtue of the work that you've done, the work that you've done to heal, to become that love that you have been seeking. There is that like vibration, that resonant vibration, something that will really bring a smile to your face, a very positive connection, a very high vibrational connection, someone who would be, not just more than happy, but enthusiastic, tickled to be able to be in the heart space of somebody like you. And so there's a need to, just really kind of let the past go, set your sights toward the future, and be very pleasantly surprised, remain very optimistic, because it feels like that light of love, it's not that far off the horizon if you're willing to just kind of bring yourself up to current times, up to the present, and discontinue kind of looking in the rear view mirror, kind of looking over your shoulder. You've done enough of that. You've completed that, and it's time to move into a place of forward thinking from this very present moment. So I'm going to get a final oracle card, and then I'll close it out with some initials for you. And we have Sacred Earth Mother, a message of love. Yeah, so this is definitely indicating that high vibrational love you're seeking, that light of love you are seeking. It is waiting to communicate with you. It is closer than you would imagine. Love is on the horizon. It's ready to burst forward. This person has picked up your signal. They may be watching you from afar, or are close enough that they can pretty quickly, relatively speaking, move into your world, take action steps towards you. You bring your energy to a place where it's that full vibration. Your heart light is on fully, in full receptivity mode, because you've taken the action steps to disconnect from everything that was not the frequency of love. You've spent this last chapter kind of preparing yourself for what love is by becoming so intimately, deeply familiar with what love is not. And so this is really indicating a season of very profound awakening of heart energies, a resurgence of love in your life. It's closer than you would imagine. It's very accessible to you. Kind of this nurturing connection, this place where you feel very safe and seen to be exactly who you are, very cherished and appreciated, a love that is protected and honored rather than kind of run from and discarded. And so, everybody has free will. You have the choice to move in this direction, but it's going to take, the price of that, the cost of that is really sort of releasing once and for all this person that you've been holding out hope for. Kind of the clock has run out on that. And so now you're presented with this option of really setting your sights toward new horizons, and somebody who is shortly to kind of merge with your reality, if you will allow them to. So these initials can be a first, middle, or last name, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got R, H, M, B, L, C, U, D, V, R, J, A, G, O, D, M, O, Y, F, Z, P, X, and S. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video, as well as in the channel section of my page. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link to that channel in the description box of the video, as well as in the channel section of my page. The format over there consists of readings related to topics other than love and romance, so if you're looking for something a little different from me, that is the place to find it. I thank you for your support there, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.